with these, but I do like what Hyundai has done with it. If you're not at home, you've got to find a way to awkwardly cram it in the vehicle, find a place for it. Hyundai has thought of that. You simply take it down from the hatch itself, pull it out because it's on a couple of latches, and then drop it down behind the rear seats, and it locks into place now, being stored directly behind the rear seats. Hey gearheads, and welcome to Garage Talk. I'm Corey, and this is a 2025 Hyundai Kona in the top limited trim with all-wheel drive capability. This is a vehicle named over the Hawaiian Islands, a place that I very much wish I was this cold January day, as we have snow coming in the forecast, which is not very typical of us here in Texas. But would I buy this all-wheel drive subcompact over its main rivals from Subaru in their Crosstrek, or Chevrolet in their Trailblazer, maybe even the more affordable front-wheel drive only Chevy Trax that I love so much? All that and more. Stay tuned. First things first, before we get too far into this, I do want to thank Hyundai for providing us with this Kona to test for a full week here on the channel. We've actually had a lot of experience with this. They brought us to South Carolina for the media drive to be one of the first to actually sample it. We've had one here on our home turf already. Now we're getting to revisit it a year later to see if it's everything I thought or remember it to be. And yes, I've driven some of its competition ever since. But yes, huge thanks to Hyundai for providing this to us. Now, let's talk about what motivates this one. This uses Hyundai's very nice 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder that makes 190 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. And it is routing power, as I mentioned in the intro, to all four wheels. Yes, this is an all-wheel drive platform, and that does go through an automatic transmission. I have generally liked this powertrain throughout my time testing it, not only in this vehicle, but every other vehicle that Hyundai, Kia decide to drop this engine in. They're using it quite a lot. It is the basis for a lot of their hybrid powertrains as well. It has been a workhorse for the brand. We'll talk more about how it performs, particularly in this one, when we get behind the wheel. One thing I will talk about while still up here under the hood, that makes this vehicle feel more premium than its competitors: no prop rod, hydraulic struts holding the hood up, which again does add to the premium feeling of this over, say, something from Subaru in their Crosstrek or Chevrolet in their Trax Trailblazer. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we're actually driving it. This carries over the exact same styling of the 2024 models that we've tested here on the channel already, though this Mirage Green is a little more palatable for most than the highlighter yellow one that we had most recently. I really do like this LED light bar that goes all the way across the top with these like faux headlight sections when you're just driving around. This is the DRL right here. And then when the headlights are on, the entire thing illuminates, because again, they assume it's nighttime, I guess. Full LED headlight housing and all of that right here. We do have these flaps that do close as they are right now for better fuel efficiency, but open up to expose the radiator for better cooling to that 1.6 turbocharged 4-cylinder. But a nice cleaned up look. It really does look like a baby Ioniq 9. And yes, I can say that confidently now, having seen the Ioniq 9 for myself in person. We of course got this before that was even unveiled. But yes, very Ioniq 9-like look to this. Very premium, very upscale. And that's what Hyundai is going for. I really do like how they are moving the entire brand a little more upmarket, and I'm here for it. Our limited model does get these black over fenders that give it a little more rugged look. Again, they are going after that Subaru Crosstrek crowd, which wants a more rugged activity vehicle. I don't know, I would almost prefer them be body color, but they do kind of lend themselves to being part of the design element. As you can see, they start over the headlight housing here. They're very integral to the overall design of the front of the vehicle. As we come down to wheels and tires, our Limited wears these 19-inch 5-spoke, very throwing star-like pattern wheels. They're wrapped in Kumho Majesty 235/45 R19 tires. Again, we'll talk more about that when we actually get going, which may come a little bit sooner than later because the wind is absolutely picking up out here. As we come down the side, the profile of it, I do like the origami-like folds and creases down the side, the doors of this. It's something we see in Tucson, it's something we see in Elantra, it's something we see a lot in Hyundai vehicles, just those sharp lines and creases that contrast, I think, rather nicely against all the round curves of the Kona. You can see the curves of the nose are kind of echoed back here on the tail of the vehicle. We still get full width LED light bar here, though in the back of the vehicle it's red, very much mimicking the light bar up front. We get this chrome surround over top of the rear hatch that actually dips down and goes underneath the windows. This whole section right here, we got this kind of like flowing X-like design. It's just a nice little design element that Hyundai did not have to do, that again shows their attention to detail and just going above and beyond to elevate the design experience here on the Kona. Other things, much like the headlights, the taillights are in those fenders, and then we get Kona spelled out across the back. Before we open up the hatch, I'm gonna put you back down on the tripod because there's some things I cannot show you unless I've got two hands to do it. So we're actually gonna talk about the key a little bit earlier than I normally do because the rear hatch has a cool feature that Hyundai has been doing for a while. That is their smart lift gate. You just have the proximity key near the back of the vehicle with it locked, with it off. It'll beep 3 times at you and then it'll open up. We've got plenty of room here. I think this opens wider than the last body on frame SUV that we had and gives you a lot of nice space back here. But there are some really nice, thoughtful touches that Hyundai has added to this rear cargo area to make it even more useful than you may be used to in the subcompact class. The first thing I really like back here is nothing new or revolutionary. You have a false load floor with the spare tire underneath. We're used to seeing that, but what I really like about what Hyundai does is you can actually pull this out and drop it back down, and now you have about maybe 1.5 inches more of load clearance. We don't have a smooth transition from the back of the vehicle anymore, which may or may not be a good thing if you've got like jars from the grocery store. There's something to keep them from rolling out when you open the hatch, which is pertinent to us because of our steep driveway and all that fun stuff. But what they have thought about is when you fold these 60/40 split seat backs down, there is a third section here that actually ramps up to the seat back. So while you don't have a smooth transition folded seat back to rear cargo area, you have a nice transition between the two. It isn't like floor seat, if that makes sense. Really do like that here. And then I am not traditionally a big fan of these hard cargo shelves in the back of vehicles. I feel like it is a more affordable vehicle trend that we see these on, though I am seeing some higher end vehicles with these. But I do like what Hyundai has done with it. Typically, if you've got a lot of cargo here and dropping this down didn't give you enough space, vertical space, you're kind of SOL. You've got to take this out and store it in your garage, or if you're not at home, you've got to find a way to awkwardly cram it in the vehicle, find a place for it. Hyundai has thought of that. You simply take it down from the hatch itself, pull it out because it's on a couple of latches, and then drop it down behind the rear seats, and it locks into place now, being stored directly behind the rear seats. So now it's out of the way. You can store taller items in here, but you don't have to leave it behind. You don't have to find a place for it. Sure, you can still put it elsewhere. It does take up a little bit of cargo space back here, but it is a nice solution to a problem I have experienced since starting this job. Really like that they have just kind of thought above and beyond. They continue to impress with the level of thought that they put into their vehicles. We get a handle here for if we did not have a power lift gate, but a button right there to close it when you're done. Another thing I want to talk about on the key is the fact that it does, yes, now look like the Hyundai logo when you turn it sideways, but it's got all the pertinent buttons on there. Lock, unlock, remote start, panic button, and we have a few buttons here on the side that I'm having trouble getting my camera to focus on. Your hatch release, and then these two smart park buttons. We'll talk about that in just a second, but we also do have a physical key located right here if I were to need it. But remote start, you lock it, you hold the button, and it starts up. No big deal. We've had remote start for a while. We've had this feature for a while, but it is making its way down Hyundai's lineup, and that is their smart park. Simply hold this button right here, and the vehicle will start to move. Perhaps I need to be just a little bit closer to it. We'll come out just a bit. And yes, if you are in a tight parking spot, parking situation, you simply hold this button and the vehicle will move itself up to a full car length in one direction or the other. And it makes for getting in and out in tight situations very easy and very convenient. I do like that. You can see that's as far as it went forward. Now I'll go ahead and put it in reverse and show you just how far back it goes without me even moving. Again, I really do like this for the right situations. It is a little bit of a party trick. If the wheels are turned, they will straighten themselves out before the vehicle starts moving. But it is a nice way to get in and out of tight parking situations. Say somebody parked too close to you and, well, you just need a little bit more space to get in. I like it. I like it a lot. One last thing I will say about the key, we'll go ahead and remote start it again, is the way that Hyundai does their remote start. I already told you this is a fully proximity key. I can leave it in my pocket and unlock the front door just by touching the back of it. I can lock it by pressing that little square right there, or hexagon, but that is not on all four doors. So if I do need to load a kid in the back seat, I'm gonna have to unlock it first by grabbing that front door handle. Nice light cream colored interior. It's their H-Tex synthetic leather. We get all our window controls here. Express up down for the front, but not the rear. Lock, unlock, window lockout, mirror controls, stuff like that. No memory seats for the driver, even on this top trim, though we do get power seat with lumbar. You can see we have our fuel door release right there. But the thing I like most about Hyundai's remote start, when I get in and close the door with that proximity key in my pocket still, I don't have to push the button. Vehicle knows, okay, the key's inside, great. The vehicle's on, great. Why should I have to push the button again? So that is something I had to reacclimate myself to when we got this for our week's worth of testing. The fact that if you remote start it, well, it's started. You don't need to do anything else. Updated for 2024, carried over for 2025, 12.3-inch digital gauge infotainment screens here. We do have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That was something that was promised as an over-the-air update. It has now come out, so really like that. We're finally getting those last few features that Hyundai was kind of holding out on to really round out their vehicles. As with most other Hyundai vehicles, we don't get the H logo on the steering wheel anymore. We get the Morse code H just to bring it in line. You can page through different information here for your driver information screen with those buttons right there, but you've got all your ADAS, your radio controls, you've got paddle shifters for the transmission, if that is your fancy. We've got our brightness control, traction, downhill descent control right over here, electronic parking brake, your hatch release right here. It is a little hard to see with these colors, with the light color cutouts for the backlighting. I wish there was a little more contrast going on here, but as I zoom in, see, now you can see that just a little bit better. But yes, it does kind of get lost in the coloring. I do like how we aren't just black on black on black in here. I do like the fact that we don't have gloss black everywhere in here. We get some unique materials. I also like physical buttons. Really like physical buttons. Physical volume and tuning. Physical controls for HVAC. Physical buttons for all the HVAC. Coming down here, we have physical buttons for heated and ventilated seats and heated steering wheel. Passenger gets heated and ventilated seats. Also get a physical button to trigger your 360 camera. which I really like the way Hyundai does cameras. They are crisp, they are clear. I get multiple different views. I can even pan around a digital version of my car as well. So that is really cool. I really like the visibility and peace of mind that that adds. In addition to the cameras, if you put the blinker on in either direction, you get a blind spot camera right there that stays on for as long as the blinker is on. Really like that as well. Just help give you a peace of mind as the driver of this vehicle. You'll be able to see around you. We get USB-C ports in this. This one serves two functions. It can either plug you into the infotainment or just be battery power. You just push that button right there to toggle between the two. This is battery only. Qi wireless charger that is raised. I've discovered that these help keep my phone cooler than most others. I really like what Hyundai's doing in the space there. Drive mode control here for our normal, sport, and snow drive modes. Like I said, if we were keeping this through the bad weather that's coming, it would be nice to truly test out snow mode in this one, but alas, this one will have left us by then. And then our storage situation. We've got wide open storage here, open storage here for our go bag. We do have a little bit of concealed storage underneath the cubby here, but that's completely removable. It's not my favorite, but what I do like, go ahead and move this cord out of the way. You can push these buttons here, and now I've got some cup holders, but still have some storage. I do like the different ways that you can configure the inside of your Kona. And while we are talking about storage, we do have this storage shelf right here. Though hard plastic, it's not rubberized. Things will slide if you put it up here. They will make noise and rattle if you put it up here. So it is a good first attempt, but I would like to see some rubberized material here. We have a damped but not felt lined glove box with a massive owner's manual. Look how thick that is. Lots going on there. A little bit of storage in the door, a little bit of storage in the cubby right here. But I generally do like the different use of materials, textures, and colors up here in the front. Coming to me, you can see I've got a decent amount of headroom, though my seat is all the way to the floor. Again, I have a power seat over here. The passenger seat is completely manual, so you have to like crank that one to lift and lower it. You can see I do have a large but standard size, not panoramic sunroof above me. And I'm going to switch hands here. We do have a power shade for it. Not something you typically see on a sunroof, moonroof, whatever you want to call it, of this size. And one thing, slight nitpick I have of most Hyundai, Kia, Genesis products is that the switch is a dual stage switch. So on a day that is cold and windy like it is today, if you're just wanting a little bit of sun to warm you up, but you don't want the roof open, you got to be careful just how far back you pull that lever. I've done it a few times. See, like even there, I pushed it too far forward and now it's completely closing. But I've done it a few times where I just want the shade open and I open the whole thing. I'm like, no, stop. So just small nitpicks with this one. Otherwise, I've got plenty of comfort and room and space and amenities up here in the front. But what is that back seat like? I already showed you we do not have the proximity sensors lock unlock on these doors, but when you do open them, get them unlocked, you can see they open up wide enough. It's not a complete 90 degrees. If you want to see me install Tucker's child safety seat and talk more about that, be sure and hit that subscribe button because that video is coming with Holly behind the wheel. We get these same materials back here, same colors back here. This is that H-Tex soft material here, but slightly padded armrest, window control, but not a lot going on the doors here. Same H-Tex seating back here. It is perforated, but it is not heated or ventilated. As I look up here, these are 60-40 split and do fold down to give you more storage space. And you can see, yes, I've still got that shelf stuck in place back here, but you can also see what I was talking about earlier about the incline, because I do have this to its lowest position. So that is a nice transition if you do have these seat backs down. And I do like how the center seat belt, unlike the Subaru Crosstrek, is actually in the seat, so you can not have to worry about pulling it from the ceiling if you need someone to sit there. Go ahead and climb in behind where I was sitting. And yes, plenty of cargo space, almost 100 cubic feet of passenger space in this vehicle. They are very proud of how much this has grown for occupants over the 23 and earlier models. And I'd say it's an absolute win back here. You can see just how thin these seats are and the curve in which they are able to give me this much legroom back here, but I like it. We do have a hard plastic seat back, no storage back here, but we do have a storage net behind the passenger. We also get HVAC vents back here and 2 USB-C ports. We also get a little bit of storage down there, very awkwardly placed. I guess you could set your phone while it's charging if you didn't want to be on your phone, I guess, if you want back here. But generally good space back here as well. And then before we pan around to how much room I have, we do have a fold down center armrest with 2 cup holders, no grippers, all hard plastic in here, but that's okay. And I like how it stays where you would want it. Yes, unlike Toyota products like the Camry, for instance, where it just flops all the way down to the bottom. I really like it where you can lean on it. Coming to me though, I've got plenty of headroom back here. I am much higher back here. We do have stadium style seating back here, but I'm plenty comfortable. This is absolutely a back seat that is usable by adults, as long as it's only 2 adults. I think it's still a little bit narrow to get 3 adults back here. We do have a center tunnel down here for the all-wheel drive, so you will kind of be flanking that with your legs if you're riding in the center seat back here. But generally speaking, very comfortable seating all the way around on all 4 corners for real-life adults in the updated 2025 Kona. All right, I've finally moved in from all of the wind and get to stay in here for the rest of the video. And I'm no longer using my phone to film, but I can show you fully wireless Apple CarPlay. Again, something that was added as an over-the-air update to the 24 models, now standard here in 2025. Also, before we get moving, I do want to thank Racebox for supplying me with their GPS race timer. We will actually be testing just how quick this thing is, 0 to 60. We'll do 1 real-world acceleration, and then we'll switch to sport mode and do a couple brake torque acceleration runs at the end of the video. But as we are getting out here onto the open road, I will do a traditional acceleration test where I just floor it. Nothing special. So come out here. Again, I'm in normal mode, all-wheel drive, come to a complete stop here, and then I'm just going to mash the throttle. Ready, set, go. Definitely feel that turbo kick in. 7.33, just a normal hard acceleration run. And I do that just to show you what this would be like merging onto the highway, living with, just so you have a little bit of a benchmark. That's actually a really good number for a vehicle like this. Again, we have that turbocharged 1.6 4-cylinder under the hood, and I generally like that engine for a lot of Kia and Hyundai vehicles. So I've really got no complaints for what this platform is. It does make a little less power than before, 190 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque. They say that is due to the packaging in this. I do believe it's also to meet that SULEV 30 emission standards. Correct me if I'm wrong, but those are my thought processes there. Otherwise, getting out and driving this vehicle, I've mostly been living with it in town on this loan. I've been running errands in it, just kind of bopping around town in traffic. That's why our fuel economy isn't all that great. I generally reset the fuel economy screen here when I get these. I've done a lot of filming, as you saw earlier, with it running, and stuff like that brings it down. And then when I don't put a lot of miles on it, we don't see very accurate fuel economy numbers. So for this test, I'm currently seeing 20 mpg in mostly city driving with a lot of idling, but it has been generally a good platform for me. My only thought, complaint, critique of the power plant, the engine, the transmission is when doing that thing that we all do, and you know you do it, where you're coming up to a stop sign and there is nobody else around. So you treat it more as a yield than a stop and kind of do that rolling stop thing. I feel like the transmission kind of stutters and not knowing exactly what it is that you want to do. And it takes a minute for that engine to actually put power back down to the wheels. And it's only really in that situation that I even notice the transmission in this car. Otherwise, it has been a very good, very solid transmission. I joked earlier, we have these paddle shifters, though I don't really need them. Like, that's not what this car is built for. Shoot, I hardly use them when I am in a sporty automatic vehicle with paddle shifters. It's just, let the engineers figure that out, and we'll go from it at that. As we are approaching a curvy road up here, I do want to mention I have an all-wheel drive model, which gets an updated rear suspension versus the front-wheel drive models. And I can't really speak to the front-wheel drive models because I haven't really gotten to test them. They typically bring us the best of the best, but I can say this suspension in this all-wheel drive model is really good. It soaks up bumps very well. I remember when we were on the media drive for this in Charleston, South Carolina on cobblestone roads, and they did a good job in that situation. In our family review, we will test this on brick streets in downtown Tyler. It handled that very well, spoiler alert. And then you may have noticed the bumps in the road back there. It wasn't overly floaty, but it wasn't like bottoming out or giving me any negative reverberations just from the broken pavement back there. This really is a good road for testing out a little bit of everything. We've got twists, we've got turns, we've got highly textured pavement, so we're getting a little bit of road noise, but I'm actually surprised how well this is isolating me from the road noise. I've definitely been in vehicles in this price point that have way less sound deadening, and it's almost deafening being in here on this road from this highly textured pavement. But I'd say this is doing a very good job, and it is kind of surprisingly so, because I remember again on the media drive in South Carolina thinking there was like a tinny sound coming from the dash, but that may have been a pre-production issue that now that we're a year into full production, we're not really getting. I am impressed with the build quality, the quietness in here, the way this vehicle handles itself on curvy roads. It's not a sports car, but it's also making me feel assured as I go down this curvy road that it can handle what I'm asking it to do, which is what you want from a vehicle, right? And I really, no complaints overall. It is a comfortable, compliant vehicle that I'm very impressed with. Would I have it over a Subaru Crosstrek? Absolutely. We've got more power. I kind of like the all-wheel drive system in this a little bit better. It's just a better package for me, for my use case, and it just feels more premium than anything I've had from Subaru lately. Would I have it over a Chevy Trailblazer or Chevy HTRAC? Well, Chevy HTRAC is front-wheel drive only and will get you a better window sticker, but it has a turbocharged 3-cylinder, less power, and again, only front-wheel drive, different rear suspension in that one as well. I like it well enough, and if price is a determining factor, Chevy HTRAC may be what you are looking for in the subcompact class. How does this fare against the Trailblazer? It's really blow for blow right there with the Trailblazer. You can get all-wheel drive, you can get turbocharged power, you can have plenty of room inside for 4 adults. So really, this is most similar to a Chevy Trailblazer in my eyes in what I've tested this against. And I would say that would be its closest main rival. And then that really comes down to all the extras that you get. Hyundai having the best warranty in the business being one of the big perks of potentially choosing a Hyundai Kona. All right, now as we are getting towards the end of this test, I am going to go ahead and put us into sport mode. Changes my dials to red, it changes the font a little bit as well, changes some throttle mapping and how this thing behaves and performs. And we're going to get up here to as level a section as we have on this road. I do have a little bit of an uphill climb going this direction, but we will turn around and do it in the other direction. Both of these, I will come to a full stop and brake torque it. Again, I'm in sport mode. We'll see what all of that does together. But our last run was 733. Let's see what we've got here. Let's go. Definitely feel that turbo kick in. This is faster than the previous run. And 773. So we were quicker 0 to 30, but after that, a little bit slower. Interesting. I don't know if that's just because we're going uphill, because I brake torqued it, or what the case is. And you know what? I'm going to brake form a little bit, and we're just going to come to a stop and then mash the throttle on this. We're not going to brake torque it. I know situations changed a little bit. We're pointed a little bit downhill, but let's see if we can beat the 773 we just got in sport mode and the 733 from the first run. Ready, set, go. Definitely feel that turbo kick in. Yeah, I think this one 767. So interestingly enough, the best 0 to 60 run I got was in normal mode, not in sport mode. Now again, this really isn't built for drag racing, and that's what that is. So when you consider what this vehicle is built for, commuting and taking your family on trips, things like that, these sub 8 second 0 to 60 runs just lend a peace of mind that you will be able to merge on to traffic, into traffic very nicely with highway traffic, whatever the case may be. So that's really what I'm aiming to tell you here in this one. Decent acceleration, not overly slow, but definitely not a race car either. That 190 horsepower, 195 pound-feet of torque is doing the most that it can with the body that Hyundai has put around that engine and powertrain. Final thoughts here on safety, convenience, things like that. I already mentioned the blind spot cameras on this. This does have lane keep assist. It also has lane tracing, which you have to turn on every single time with a push of this button on the steering wheel, which I really like. Does a good job of keeping you centered in the lane. Now, the steering wheel itself is a little thin rimmed, not a lot of padding to it. I have found that the Chevy Equinox and its nicely thick rimmed steering wheel is definitely more preferential to me, but this is still a nice sporty feeling steering wheel, if nothing else. Other details, warranty and such are down in the video description below, so if you want to know that, you'll have to do a little bit of reading. But that is about it for my time here in this 2025 Hyundai Kona Limited all-wheel drive. If you want to see more from us, including our family review, where Holly is here behind the wheel, Tucker is in his child safety seat, I put it in, do all that fun stuff, hit the subscribe button down below and ring the bell so you are notified when future videos drop from us. Find us on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, you name it. Everything is at GT Garage Talk, or you can go to gtgaragetalk.com, where you will find links to everything we do, including our award-winning podcast. But as for me, on some of my favorite driving roads here in East Texas, in the 2025 Hyundai Kona Limited all-wheel drive. Till next time.